Hello there, it's that time of year again, it's MARCHintosh, and we did it last year and we're doing it again this year despite my better judgment. This time round, we're doing a PowerBook and an accompanying dock. Now this time there's going to be no extensive repairs or deep mods done on this one, it's mostly just to get it going and to fix some problems. So let's do that right now. Yes, I'm doing MARCHintosh again. Last year was the 475, this year it's the PowerBook Duo. Not only that, the rather large and imposing Duo dock. I'd seen one of these on This Does Not Compute's channel, and I'm fascinated with this type of Apple hardware. If you want the full lowdown on this machine, then watch Colin's video in the description, but in short, this was an attempt by Apple to give you the best of both worlds, something you could take with you on trips, but when back home could transform into a full desktop with all the comforts therein, and with access to all the same files and apps that you had on the road. I was very fortunate to get these at the price I did. The variant I got was the PowerBook 2300c, and its specs are as follows. This version was the first of the Duos to be released with a PowerPC CPU, but retained the ethos of the earlier Duos, more on that in just a little bit. I got the laptop itself for around 175 and the dock for 5730, which is pretty good seeing as how most of the time these aren't in the UK and are often priced a lot higher even before you get them imported. Firstly, we'll be focusing on the laptop, so let's join me at the desk so I can show you around. So in keeping with the tradition of a lot of my videos, we start with a little disaster, which in this case comes in the form of that. This is the power supply that I got from the US to try and power this thing, and during testing, yes, spoiler alert, it does work, I got about 10 to 15 minutes in and this thing popped with a bit of a fizz and I unplugged it immediately. What I will say as well though, it still stinks like weeks later, just disgusting. So does the patch of floor it was sitting on when it happened, but anyway, moving on. So this is the laptop, and I think we need to have a look around it. First of all, you can see there's a bit of sticky goop, which is part of the rubber feet, which is when something else has been sitting on it. So if I take a look at the top, it's not in bad condition. There's a bit of a scratch running through here. I don't remember that being there. It could have been my fault, I'm not really certain. We do have a battery. It is a bit yellowed though. Looks like that's possibly the asset tag of wherever this was. I mean, it could have been in a school, could have been somewhere else. It seems to be, from what I looked at, it might have been a personal machine. Could have passed hands, you never know. Oh yeah, there's more of those sticky feet that we've got to somehow try and get off. So what I think we should do is probably just take a look at some of the ports. See, there's nothing on the sides at all. However, we come to the back, you fold the legs down. Well, it says it's got a telephone port, so that would assume that was the modem. This one actually is the modem. And mine actually has it installed. They don't always have that, which is really good actually. Not that you're going to make use of it, unless you like going on the web at a snail's pace. The big deal for this though is this. That is the massive port that plugs into the dock, and pretty much this is where you get most of your ports from. This was designed to be fairly simple. When it's in the dock, actually this is the other power button for turning it on. It's pretty neat actually. Let's try and open it up. There is a problem here though, of course. A little crunching. Now, this thing has the expected problems that you would sort of think would be there. The screen has come apart like so many of these things. Colin from It Does Not Compute has already done this, where he's created some new inserts for the threaded parts where this screws together. We need to look into that, although I'm not sure we can do a full repair yet. But we'll work something out. The inside looks pretty good. I mean, the keyboard itself, it looks alright. It's not really yellowed that much of it all, but the keys stick a bit. Like, when you type, they don't really return to normal. And for example, the option button gets stuck every now and then. You have to sort of whack it to get it back. On the actual trackpad, however, or perhaps I should say palm rest, you can just see there's a crack in it right there. That's unfortunate. But we do have stuff to fix that. I know I keep saying this, it's like, yes, we have a solution, because we do. But I think the worst thing visually for me is the actual display panel, which you can clearly see there's some horrible streaky marks. Now, initially I thought that somebody had used like a caustic chemical on that. Apparently not, because during actually trying to get this video together, I'm really late in producing it. I think his name is Nathan, isn't it? From Cyverai. I don't know if that's how you say it. I'll probably try and put a thumbnail in there. Detail what goes wrong with these things. It's not actually because it was cleaned with a bad chemical. The screen itself is actually breaking down. And the last time I looked at this, which was about a month ago, there'll be more, these weren't as wide. I distinctly remember these weren't as big. I could be my imagination, but the screen needs to be replaced. However, with a lot of the mods that we're doing this time around, we're not really going to do any sort of deep repairs. We're going to sort of fix such as this, we're going to clean it up a bit, we're going to put a different battery in, those kind of things, and we'll tackle this job later because this is going to require a screen. But I think that's about it for the moment. What I can tell you though is that the laptop does power on, and it does work. There's not much on it, but we'll get to that in a little bit. For now, we have some bits that can help this out. So these new parts came in the form of two other PowerBooks, the first one of them being a 230 in a bit of a state. It's got all the problems you can think of, apart from the screen actually, but there is evidence of the battery leaking, so this could be a bit of a basket case. I wanted this one so I could use its keyboard on the other, but the spacebar seems to get stuck in this particular one. The second one is a PowerBook 210 with an attractive sticker on the front. It's in a much better state of repair and again also has no screen issues, which is quite surprising, and no battery issues. This keyboard is in much better condition and passes the type test. Next up is a mini dock. Now originally I wanted a micro dock, but they are ridiculous in cost, often being about £100. I got this one for around £69, and it even included a floppy drive, which I'll show a bit later. It has various ports along the back to expand the functionality of the PowerBook, kind of like a smaller, more concise version of the actual bigger dock. Unfortunately, however, it does suffer from the same problems as the laptops, i.e. the sticky feet. Next are some items I got from a person on Discord for literally $30 shipped. It contains a charging unit which you can connect two batteries and the official adapter to, and it came with two batteries. Unfortunately, one of them got damaged in shipping, but I do have the plastic parts. With the second laptop, the 210, I actually got loads of bags of parts, though they are a little bit mixed up here. First bag has both floppy drives, one from the dock and one from this one. The better of the two, as in the least yellowed one, is actually missing its front panel, while the second one does have its flip down front panel, but is decidedly yellowed. I think I might only keep one of these though and sell the other. This bag contains both of the floppy docks for both of the floppy drives that I got, as well as the laptop charger. This dock is specifically just for the floppy drive, the one I wanted was the SCSI version. This power supply was shown to be working on the eBay listing, but I don't know if I really trust it. I think I'll just stick to the third party one that I got. I may just keep it around for completeness. I paired this one with a grey cable to match. The last smaller bag mainly contained odds and ends, including the front floppy bezel with one end cracked off it, which belonged to the drive, as well as a bag of plastic parts that I collected from the other lot that I just put in here. One plastic thing I had no idea what it was for was this thing, this sort of pocket thing. Turns out you actually put the battery in there for storage. Neat, I suppose. I also have this getting started manual for the PowerBook Duos. It tells you all you need to know, presumably, including how to open the PowerBook and how to turn it on. Awesome, I guess. In all seriousness, it's good to have. And finally, I got myself a blue SCSI to get data onto and off this thing, as well as the adapter to interface it with the dock. It also terminates to a DB25, so you can basically plug anything SCSI in there. So now it's time to do a little exploratory surgery on this laptop to see what we're dealing with. First, we need to give it a little clean. Also taking time to remove what's left of the rubber feet and pads, which have turned to mush. This part had to be done with some alcohol to get rid of the final residue. However, as you see, that label that was on the bottom was super stubborn, and even alcohol wasn't enough to get rid of it. I did, however, clean the inside too, and also took the time to remove the rubber parts there. This may be slightly pointless for the keyboard and palm rest, as I'm replacing them anyway, but I like to be thorough. Okay, I know we said we were going to have a look into it, but I'm just going to show you around the laptop and what's on it. There's not much, but I thought we'd just have a look. This thing has a little bit of a weird quirk though, is when you plug the thing in, it turns itself on. I don't really think it's supposed to do that, but anyway, let's have a look. Let's see if I can get this first time. The screen is not too bright, so I'm just going to try and maybe turn off this to make sure, see if that makes it any better. Apparently not. 1 second. Okay, so that looks a little bit better now. Right, let's have a quick look around. So, as you can see, the Mac is running 755. It has 20 megabytes of RAM on it. I don't know what that would actually be. I assumed these were 8 megabytes when I looked at these things on Mac Tracker. Maybe it's 4? I don't know, with a 16 megabyte expansion? I really don't know, I'll have to check that out for sure. This mouse is absolutely bloody terrible though. There's a few things in here, few documents. They're a bit strange. Something about a death ray here. Shows you who it might have been registered to as well. Cosmic rays. Is this somebody's kind of... Is this some kind of work here? Is this like a thesis or something for art or whatever? Sorry, this trackpad is absolutely messed up. Hold on a second. Okay, we're back, but we have a mouse this time with one of the docks in the back. And I'm happy to say, it does appear to work. Well, we're back to Death Ray, and this is much easier to use now. It's kind of uncertain as to what this really is. Like, it sounds like a musical project, as I say. Anyway, enough of that one. Wet rug. I have absolutely no idea what this is going on about, but oh well. I guess the person that wrote this does. Well, that's words, everybody. So, yeah, let's have a look at the hard drive. You can really see the damage in the screen here. Oh, that looks bad. Anyway, there's really nothing much in there. There's telecom applications, something about faxing. I remember this from last time when I had a brief look at it before the charger blew up. There is legit some wedding photos here. I don't know if these belong to the last person who had this, or if it was, or if they got it off. Oh, they're opening with Netscape. I don't know if that's you, sir. I don't know if you want your photos. Actually, let's see what bookmarks they've got in there. I think I remember there was something funny in there. That's a spicy link. I'm going to put like a censored sticker over it, but yeah, that's some spiciness right there. There's no other spiciness on here if I remember rightly. I think I went through all the photos and there's no spice, so that's good, at least. Not much in utilities. There's not much in here. I think it basically got almost cleared out. This looks like it was possibly used up to 2001. That's quite far away from its original launch date. Yeah, there's not much in the way of applications either. I think it's just like the usual like hypercards there, you know, bit of Office. So yeah, I think we'll just close this down and we'll just get on with opening this thing up now. So let's start. And of course we need to take out the battery. I did notice this one seemed to have a little patch of corrosion. Not sure if that's going to be a problem in the future. To help take apart this laptop, I'm following the guide from iFixit. Although, as we'll find a bit later, I shouldn't follow it too closely. All started off well enough. First we undo the screws to remove the keyboard from the unit. And this is where I kind of went wrong. On the back it stated the next part was to undo these little catches that secure the pull down feet. Except you would need to take these off if you were doing a full teardown. Of course, I don't. All I'm doing is getting inside the laptop from the top end. So just ignore this bit. But back on track now, and all we do is leave the keyboard up with a spudger. That's really all you need for this. Then, being very, very careful, I removed the ribbon cables from their holders. There are two connectors with a catch on each side, and you've got to be very careful not to rip these off. Luckily, everything went fine for me. The next bit was a little worrying. You do have to apply quite a bit of force to pull the top case off. And, well, as you can see, I did manage to get it off. No clips were broken as well, so that's a good thing. Then all you do is lever up on the connector and the palm rest comes free. I started by removing the hard drive, but then got sidetracked by the RAM module. I did remove it and had a look at it just to see what size it was, but there was no markings on there, so I just put it back. Now I remove the hard drive. It's secured primarily by 3 screws, one for the foil going over it and then 2 underneath. This drive is the 1.1GB IDE, and I'm surprised this thing's still alive, to be honest. The ribbon even looks fine, although I must stop fiddling with it like this. On a side note, we know that this is the IDE connector, but is this the SCSI connector? If it is, I'd really like to use it. Good, so now that's removed, let's talk about drive replacements. Initially I thought about this MSATA type device, but then again I thought, nah, that's too ostentatious, let's just put an SD card in, using one of these SD to IDE adapters. I'd found an adapter on Thingiverse which would help to secure it in, and I got it printed at my usual place, CraftCloud. I even got them done in PowerBook Grey. I mean, you're never going to see it, but I know it's there. I already broke one, so I guess we'll use that one to put the drive in. Just click it in, and we're done. It rattles a little, so I may use some tape. although pretty shortly I noticed there was a bit of a problem. Can you see what it is yet? That's right, the mounting holes don't line up at all. Bugger. However, I'm not going to be stopped. I'm determined to put a drive in this thing. So, we'll just have to make do with some foam folded over and then wedged into place. Not perfect and I wouldn't recommend it, but it'll do for now. It'll be secured a little bit more by the foil that goes over the top, and because of the foam it shouldn't short on anything. Just one last check to see if everything's secured enough, and then on to our next bit, and this one's quite important. It's a box. Give up? Oh, alright then. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't recognise those numbers. What this actually is a new old stock palm rest. I'm ashamed to say that I paid probably almost as much for this as I did for the laptop. The old one, if you remember, has a crack just above the trackpad, and that would just bother me no end, so we're going to replace it. First though, what we need to do is to just transfer over the trackpad and the mouse button. I did come across one unfortunate thing, however. Seems the curse of cracking plastic never leaves this Mac, and when pulling the trackpad components upwards, well, it just fell to bits. This is yet another job to add to the list, I guess. Now initially I'd removed this flex cable from the trackpad, but I realised my mistake a bit later as I just didn't need to, and I managed to get it back in. Now was the fiddly task of getting the other part of the button back onto where it was, and for the moment I was going to try and just put that fragment of plastic back. I succeeded, and at least this would be held in for the moment until I could source a replacement or do some kind of glue repair, which would be down the line. Job's a good one. Now we had to basically reverse what we'd done before, and this was to get the new palm rest back on. It was a massive fiddle, and I realised that I should have removed those two kind of shoulder parts. I managed to, and this made the job a lot easier and allowed me to get the new palm rest secured. We're still not done though, and I just need to commandeer the PowerBook 210 to steal its keyboard. Just like the other one, same type of clips, easy peasy, done as before. And right the way back again. I feel like I might be an expert in installing PowerBook Duo keyboards by now. What do you reckon? Just a quick press about on the keys to make sure everything's alright, and yes, it appears like everything's just absolutely fine. Being that I have a few PowerBooks on the go as well as the other batteries, I need to sort one out for this machine. What I decided to do is lay them all in a line and then just pick the best one. So the broken one got eliminated first, the super yellow ones did, as well as the one with the longer button. I gave them a clean, although one of them seems to have some red pen over part of the logo, but nah, who cares about that? It's not going to hinder function. I trialed two and I found out that the second one in many ways was a better fit, due to it being a better colour and being less scratched, so I think we'll go with that one. Now that we have the hardware repaired as much as possible for now, let's concentrate on the software. I did attempt to actually plug this in to get some kind of footage out of it, but whenever I did, all I seemed to get was this pink screen. In any case, it seemed to function as some kind of second display anyway. I did actually get it to function correctly once, but couldn't replicate the issue. Oh well. Perhaps when this thing gets into the operating system proper or is in the full size dock, it might be different. For the OS, initially I wanted to try out macOS 8.6. I've simply connected my Apple CD drive up to the mini dock. It seems to boot fine. Great. So I've just got you a better view here. And one of the things I was most interested in seeing was it recognises the hard drive. Excellent. I set about formatting it to macOS Extended rather than macOS Standard, as well, this is a newer Mac. Once it loaded in, my excitement was actually short-lived. It seems that this Mac in its current state won't actually be able to work with it. It needs 24 megabytes of RAM and I only have 20. Oh well. It also seems like this is some kind of update disk and not the actual full thing. However, I checked and it looks like macOS 8.5 might actually be the ticket, as it only requires 16. So let's try that out. Initially the boot process seemed to encounter some difficulties producing this scrambled screen, so I just restarted and it seemed to be okay the second time round. So nothing else to do, I guess, other than just sit back and let the installation go. I selected English, and then it was off to the races. I mean, well, OS installations, whatever. Now the installation said it was going to take around about 15 minutes, it actually took closer to 45. Here I've basically just run it through as fast as I possibly could through the editor, but yeah, there's a dead spot in the middle. Not sure why this occurred. I was reading it off the disc and it kinda seemed like it was having some trouble reading it. Maybe next time I should just stick to disk images. Upon the system's first restart, I'm just going to breeze through the setup assistant. Nothing special really needs to be set here, it's not as if this is a particularly important installation. And with that out of the way, I wanted to test how long it was going to take to boot up. Now in this next sequence, it seemed to be taking absolutely ages. Though I did time it in the editor and it seemed to take around about 2 minutes and 14 seconds. It felt a lot longer though. After I got back in though, I had a brief look around just to see what's what applications were there and just how everything was set up. I think in the future I'll do more of this kind of proper setting up, but for now I think we're actually pretty good. So with that, I think we'll end this chapter on the actual laptop side of things. Over to me for the final thoughts. Well, that's unfortunately all the time I've got for that, because again of my own procrastination and the scale of some of these things, I think we're going to have to leave it there. We didn't get done everything we wanted to get done, but then again, a lot of these things that we were going to be doing were not actually deep repairs anyway. But it has highlighted a few problems. There is the trackpad issue there where it has like a cracked screw type mount thing. What a technical term that is. But yeah, I've literally run out. I'm doing this literally on the early hours of the 31st. I kind of feel like I've only done half a video, maybe even worse, because it was supposed to be the dock and the laptop in the same video, and I haven't really done an awful lot. I mean, we've got macOS installed, at least that's a good thing. But anyway, if you did like this video, do all the necessaries, you know, like the video, share it around a bit, give us a sub, and we will get back to this. It won't be MARCHintosh anymore, but it will be something else. We're going to do the dock, and then we're going to look into all the other issues this thing has. But until then, have a nice day wherever you are.